Because obviously Dr. Seuss, his writing was targeted for young children,
right,
as a reading audience. And people who study like the etymology of words and how they've evolved theorize that when Dr. Seuss first became popular, and you had like say 6-year-olds who were reading it, and we read these stories, over time, they started calling their older siblings nerds after this particular character as an insult. And so it came to be associated with what we now know as a nerd today.
That's really funny.
So that's how they think.
What year was that written in?
Well, 1950 was when it was published.
Ah.
So, I mean, really 60 years, but over 60.
You must have been the original nerd.
You flatter me, but I don't know, we'll have to come back to that. Anyway.
People calling like their teachers or like people who they think like exert too much authority over them yurdles, like, yeah, yurdle.
Well, yeah, really anybody, actually,
again,
coming back to that, because that's something else that kind of works into what we're talking about. But yeah, really, the way the American Heritage Dictionary defines it is really any comically unpleasant creature was during the 50s or 60s defined as a nerd.
Is the like eye goatee necessary as well?
That's
really eyelashes.
I don't know what that is. It's kind of like a weird.
That would be respectable, if anything.
I don't know about respectable. You use the English language very liberally. But well, see, that's just it. That's why I asked how you defined it, because I mean, depending on who you talk to, and I mean, I think especially when we were all in high school, there are, if you try to base your definition of a nerd on, say, a stereotype, for example, you might associate people who wear like dark clothing, scruffy, something like this, but more human.
You didn't go to high school?
Yeah, no, I didn't. So yeah, I mean, there's any number of variations we can come up with, but that's what we have so far. And I mean, I don't know. Do you guys know very much about Dr. Seuss? Because he has a whole past life to this writing.
Was he the one who was into drugs, or was that the other one?
The other one.
Robert Munch. I know.
I listened to him do like the TVO special last night. He must have, because he's
one of them. I think it was Robert Munch.
No, but he recovered. Like he.
Yeah.
But like, some people never go back.
I don't know. I remember reading part of his like.
Yeah, but it was like.
Lewis Carroll was another one. That was who.
Well, yeah, but is that really surprising?
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, that's the point. I thought that might be what you were referring to.
And J.M. Barrie was suspected to be a pedophile.
Really?
Peter Pan?
Oh yeah, no, that's right.
He followed a family around and just hung out with their kids.
I got it. Thank you.
Thanks for ruining Peter Pan.
I know I'm gonna go home.
Reality quiz.
Yeah, it does. It's just so enriched having you in my life. Anyway, well, I mean, for those of you who don't know, this part might be common knowledge, but I mean, Dr. Seuss, aka, well, real name Theodore Geisel, was German American, and I mean, before he got Dr. Geisel, how about that? I made you halfway. Okay, so before he got into kids' books, he actually used to do like political cartoons. This was in the early days of World War II. And before that, he did commercial cartoons for big companies like General Electric and that kind of thing. Well, actually, yeah, this is a political cartoon he did right after Hitler invaded the Soviet Union. So obviously satirical in nature. I have to admit this is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Is that the cat in the hat?
No, well, see, a lot of these animals.
Is Italy a skinny cat?
No, it's a squirrel that's been run over. No, actually, and I'm glad you noticed that, because he actually had some very harsh words for the Italians in these comics. Like those, he didn't think very highly of Hitler, but I'd say the Italians just about edged him out in terms of the people he had the most contempt for. But you can see here, like the styles that he drew these in. Obviously, they came back when he would get into children's books. And I mean, if we can go back to the previous slide, you can see actually, I don't know if you realize it or not, but a lot of his later works obviously have all kinds of intonations as well.
Yeah.
So, this one might be a little bit more obvious, but something to think about. Anyway, we can go back to the, oh, is this the next one? Yeah. He would later say that this is actually one of the cartoons he was most proud of. Can you guys read the script at the top there? At the back? Yes or no? Yeah. Okay, wonderful. Okay. And then what's the next one? Yeah, here we go. He also quite liked this one. That is a good word for it.
Cute, yeah. It's like a precursor to ebony and ivory. Black labor and white labor.
Ebony and Ivory is an underappreciated song.
Great song. Very. If he were here today, I'm sure he'd agree. And then one which I think is particularly relevant today. I think this is the last of the cartoons we have for Davies. So, there you go. Actually, while I was digging around here, he actually did more than 400 of these. Most of them were for Left Wing magazine. Probably no surprise there. The only cartoons that I found that we didn't include here were on his commentary for Japanese Americans, because those were actually borderline racist. You know, most of his cartoons, I think a lot of critics, and even Dr. Zeus would say himself, at the time they were very progressive, very open-minded. You can see the black and white labor one, said he quite admired that. But with Japanese Americans, that really, he came to regret that, because he said he targeted the people really much more than he should have, and they don't reflect well in his later career. At the same time, he wrote a letter to the editor. This is where Italy comes back into it, because there were a whole bunch that really parodied Mussolini. And he wrote, "Dear editor, if you were to ask me, which you haven't, whom I consider the world's most outstanding writer of fantasy, I would of course answer I am. My second choice, however, is Virginio Gaida." That was the propaganda minister for Mussolini. "The only difference is that the writings of Mr. Gaida give me a pain in the neck. This morning the pain became too acute and I had to do something about it." So, that's the career of Dr. Zeus. And also after the war, kind of on that note, something which I found a little bit surprising, he was involved with making like POW films, or maybe not, maybe that's the wrong word, but I guess like indoctrination movies for people who were either just entering the American Army or just kind of coming out of it. And I mean, there was a lot of speculation, because he used to find it quite funny that so many people would talk about his books and they try to, you know, see if there was a hidden meaning in there. A lot of people thought that the antagonist, if you can call it that, in The Cat in the Hat, was anti-commie, because he's trying to get rid of all the demons. I remember the story. So that was one. And then, of course, Yertle Paterno was, that pretty much everybody agrees.
Well, and the Butter Battle book is the Berlin Wall, isn't it?
I think you're right.
Yeah, there's a
been
wall,
while
and
since I've
one
read the-
people on one side butter their bread on one side, people on the other side butter their bread on the other side.
Interesting.
That's
that
it. Yeah, it was quite difficult.
I can imagine. No, it's been quite a while.
How much analysis has there been regarding the cat in the hat?
It's interesting you mention
What
that,
is the
because-
literary or political significance of him?
Well,
What about thing 1 and thing 2?
These are all brilliant questions.
But what I'm
I
thinking
don't
about
have
is
the
this:
answer.
it's a cat. Right, stick with me now.
Yeah.
In the hat.
But what color is that?
I don't know.
Well, those are the kind of things people are asking. So.
Isn't it straight?
I
No,
just think
it's
isn't
red
it
and
isn't
white,
it a
it's
little
red and white.
confusing how well
It's
that
the
works?
fascist communist conflict.
Yeah. There you go. There's the answer
Right
to the
there.
question.
Now, if you change the white stripes to black, you could have a black and red Cat in the Hat. So you'd have an anarchist Cat in the Hat. And wasn't the Cat in the Hat promoting sort of anarchy?
You know, you could probably make that argument.
I think I might write that book.
That's unreasonable. I would read it. Or I'd find somebody who goes to read it. All right, why don't we move on to the next question? So
I think that's a lovely.
Thank you very much. Okay, so tell me, what does this guy do for a living?
Runs the United States.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
It actually does. What is the right answer?
Well, that's
He's a lovely father.
Whoa!
Wow.
Any other
The answer is
guesses?
email.
He's a lovely father.
Yeah,
He used to teach law in Chicago.
that's true. That's true. But former occupation.
Yeah.
What does he do now?
Talks a lot.
Is that a vocation?
Yeah.
It could be. No, that's true. Is it?
Yeah, they're
See, now I got
politicians.
Play some basketball from time to time. He's been known to on occasion.
I bet that's the first entry. Okay, well, let me put it this way: like, if you were to meet him, how would you address him?
Okay, well, I'm not going to say it. I already took one of the buzzers. Someone else has to say it.
Commander-in-Chief?
You could do that, or just more conventional.
He's the POTUS with the
President.
most.
Yeah, no, you could say.
The POTUS.
Sir.
The POTUS with the most.
Yeah, I got that. Okay, anyway, well, yeah, the conventional answer, I think most people would find, would just be Mr. President.
Yeah.
The real question is, what is president?
Leader of the free world.
No, but that's just it. We associate that now because of the evolution of the word.
Yes.
But if you actually break
Oh,
it,
what is
what
a-
does it mean? Where does, yes.
It's the leader of it's the smallest possible word for the leader of kind of a committee or just like anything. Because I remember reading that when they made the United States, they were like, what should we call our leader? Should we call him king? Whoa, no, we can't call him king because that's why we just had a whole big fight. So tried different. They didn't want prime minister because they were republic. So they tried to find the most humble, stupidest little term for chairman. But even chairman was too good. So okay, we'll just call him president, the guy who presides over something. And then only later did it become pretty much all of the non-constitutional monarchies, republics and stuff throughout the world after the 1700s, have called them president because the U.S. was so powerful.
That's exactly right. That's actually because well, just to go back to what you first said, is that's just that after the United States declared independence, I mean, one of the main problems, if anybody's read the Federalist Papers, the whole point of what Madison was trying to create was an institution that, well, so many checks and balances that it basically makes the government inefficient. that was actually the design of the U.S. government. So that means I know that's the irony of it, is the fact that it's still working beautifully to this day.
Yeah.
And anyway, so the responsibility for keeping order was supposed to fall precisely in the institutions of government. Obviously, the president being one such institution. But what do you call the person who is now the head of this new country, which was really at the time unlike any others in terms of size, in terms of the amount of strength wielded, all that. So there was a big, I guess you could say, a schism between the House, because you had the representatives who wanted the humblest possible term because they didn't want the power to go to his head. And then you had the upper house saying that you needed something that at least had some dignity to it. And so there was a whole argument. I think it went on for about 3 weeks. There was no resolution to the debate.
And it was accepted provisionally.
That's right. No, that's
they
the
never
key point.
opened it ever again.
Nobody.
It's
and
still provisionally from the Senate.
That's the point. So to this day, he actually has no title. I mean, we call him president because that's just been the status quo now for almost 300 years. But the upper house has never approved the term president to this date, so it's still an open file. And I mean, really, it's a mystery as to what he does in some sense. But then the added irony is that because the United States is now the power that it is, all the countries that have attained independence since then or have undergone revolutions, they have all named themselves after the leader who, well, at the time, the representatives wanted him to be unique in terms of having the humblest, most pitiful title. And now 178 countries, or 147 rather, have president.
That many?
Yeah.
Wow.
When you think about it, I mean, really the only exceptions would be the few kingdoms that are left in anything related to First Round.
Well, and are there some chairmans around?
Well, yes, but I think there's a lot of the European countries, like
Yeah.
You gotta have a chairman.
Come on.
But even countries with chairmen, like China, there's a chairman of the party, and then there's the president of the nation.
It's, and Germany too. Like Germany has.
Kaiser.
Well, no.
No.
Germany has
The
a
one
chancellor.
that-
They also have a provisional president or whatever. It's kind of like having France as a president and prime minister. Responsibilities are different, but I mean the title is the same.
What about the Netherlands? They have a queen, but they
It's not even queen, but again, it's.
but they also have a prime minister. Not
Yes,
a president.
they. No, I think Holland does have a president.
I don't know.
I think it is a president. It might be. I don't know. You could be right. Well, you've been to Holland. You should know this.
I don't, but.
Everyone should just go back to chairman. It's like he's the man with the chair. What could be better? This is the chairman.
Well,
he sits in a big chair and runs the country.
Well, by that logic, this is the man who presides.
Which he does.
Which he does. So what's the difference?
I like Emperor Obama better.
Emperor, yeah, Emperor would be kind of,
Emperor
yeah, that'd
Obama.
be,
That's
yeah.
nice.
We
King
need some
Obama.
swag for that, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe that's me. Anyway. Well, speaking of U.S. presidents, I mean, again, this was supposed to be kind of a fall-themed question because we were right in the throes of the election at the time, but there's a whole series, as I'm sure you know, of information sources. They publish up the unique facts of various presidents during their tenure. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys